Hello, everybody. It's February 26, 2025. And thank you, Kimberly, for sending me this article. I signed up for her newsletter. This is a newsletter by Christina Gerrard. And it's Barrie Trower's research papers includes proof of military and government illegal human experiments. Before I start reading, hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow and get the message out there. The title of this article, the date of this article is February 20, 2025 on Substack. So here we go. At the bottom of this post, you will find a link to just one of the files that world-renowned ex-Navy British microwave expert Barrie Trower gave to me when I went to see him at his home in Devon in June 2024 regarding the police and military harassment of both myself and my family had been subjected to, which annihilated our lives so devastatingly over the course of 15 years. I have spent the last 6 years intensively researching these bastards in an effort to prove that they're all involved in a quote-unquote classified level within both the British police force as a whole and the military, both here and in the United States. It won't be long now until everything is finally exposed. Barrie gave me several folders containing 30 years worth of his research into microwave warfare experimentation, the weapons they have created from these experiments for use in the military, police, surveillance services operations, the damages they cause to all life forms, and in particular humans and animals. We have all been heavily targeted in secret experimentation programs involving the use of microwave frequencies via base stations on military bases and from mobile phone towers since at least the 1970s. I have stated numerous times that I believe this went into overdrive around 1976 onwards worldwide, but particularly in the UK and US. More so in the UK, I believe, due to its non-proximity to any other countries, that we have nobody bordering ours who could have raised the alarm arising from the frequency emissions affecting their citizens. So our government went ahead full stream experimenting on the unsuspecting electorate who were duped repeatedly into trusting that they were acting in our best interests. They weren't. Never will. Big Pharma made billions from the myriad of health issues, both physical and mental, that these frequency emissions cause long-term. Excuse me. Every single illness corresponds to its own frequency. The military and surveillance industries have spent billions creating unimaginable ways to control, modify, and spy on us all 24 hours a day, wherever we are. The devices at their disposal, now mounted on all communication system towers and atop many buildings, can be purposely tuned, and their extremely damaging signals repeated endlessly from thousands upon thousands of unaliving towers now erected everywhere, as far as the eye can see, and particularly heavily on the streets of housing estates and next to schools, colleges, hospitals, and universities. There are specialized teams, quote unquote, of police officers and military personnel that have access to an assortment of quote unquote weapons designed allegedly for crowd control and surveillance, which are nothing less than torture toys, and all are misused for fun and entertainment and also for financial gain. Many are still classified, but all are being used illegally by these monsters to quote unquote play with people 24/7 for years on end. People are driven mad, driven to suicide, hospitalized, mangled, and tortured for fun by these men. And they have set up internet businesses specifically to broadcast their victims on members-only websites among their brethren Masons. This is how they stay protected and out of a courtroom. Most people have no idea what's going on and succumb to the will of the quote-unquote handlers, whose sole intent is to cause harm and misery to their quote-unquote assets. Horrific things are done to people, and indeed their children and their pets, in the name of entertainment. Others are used for target practice, with these frequency weapons being used illegally and in direct contravention to the Nuremberg Code Treaty, which was signed in the 1940s by all major countries after the war to prevent illegal human experimentation without the strict consent of the person being used for research. And I'll say it again. I never consented. I do not consent now, in the past, or in the future. I don't consent. It followed the revelations of what had occurred in the Nazi concentration camps, which, with mind control experimentation, and why the German scientists were recruited not only by the US but secretly by the UK. The Tavistock Institute here in the UK played a significant role in all this frequency modulation microwave equipment experiment that now sees this living organism control and modification equipment is placed on every street, in every town, village, and city. It even lines our road systems to ensure that we're all kept firmly in its mind control and manipulation grip. Nowadays, the research still continues illegally and without our consent, and for the most part, without people even knowing or realizing it's going on all around them. They attribute their physical or mental health issues to whatever their BS doctors are telling them is causing it, not realizing that most are paid to lie to them and fabricate medical records to hide the truth of what is really causing their symptoms, just like what's happening to Jessica. 7 months. Yeah, we're going to call you out, Dr. Sanjay K. Singh. Fabricating a mental illness? I don't know. I just read an article about how they arrested a doctor that did that. He's in prison now. We are all now simply fodder for the training recruits in the police and military forces, and also for the monsters using this equipment for financial gain, mainly police officers. The private businesses they have set up include porn sites, brothels, and private investigative firms run by ex-police officers, most of whom were either sacked for sexual misconduct while serving, or they resigned prior to their disciplinary hearings to save their police pensions, utilize teeny tiny hidden cameras mounted in the bathrooms and bedrooms of their targets' homes in literally thousands of rental properties owned by both them and as a group, and also those that belong to a myriad of housing associations that are now firmly in place and paying no taxes on their rental portfolios. The properties owned by the police officers included in this vile business see them amass multi-million pound fortunes, which has over the last 40 years been invested in vast rental property portfolios, boats, financial investments in Florida, Spain, big pharma, holiday homes abroad, fast cars, and in some cases even helicopters on their lawn. Some have had multi-million pound homes built here in Cornwall, the English Riviera. Most of the Met Police in London, who are and were involved in this since the 1970s and 80s, have retired down here and live in the best and most exclusive areas, and in the most expensive properties with their boats moored along the shorelines. People really need to wake up to all the disinformation, all the shills who are paid huge amounts of money on a salary basis to keep everyone looking in the wrong directions for information. It's simple. We have all been lied to for the last 100 years. All social media platforms are brimming with people who are willing to spend an inordinate amount of time typing of useless shit to fill people's heads with the wrong information to prevent the truth from getting out. And Substack included, I'm afraid, and many whom we have trusted that are on that list. Some are even rather known and pose as activists, despite being involved with these bastards for decades. I'll cover that separately at some point. But it will upset many. There are two classes of society in today's world. Those who live in the quote-unquote exclusion zones, who are protected from the frequency modulations that shroud the entire planet now 24/7 due to their wealth, Masonic connections, or their employment status within this monstrous industry. And those whom I call the quote-unquote cash cows, that's you and me. We're simply training fodder, target practice, a never-ending source of revenue for big pharma government officials who invest in it, and the men and women running the private businesses illegally utilizing this equipment for monetary gain. She goes on to say, I will release more on Barrie Trower's research documents in due course. Here's a link to the first of several folders I have managed to salvage from being hacked repeatedly by police officers who are assessing my devices using remote access to the backdoor system. Do you hear that? I'll say it again. She's been hacked repeatedly by police officers who are accessing her devices using remote access to the backdoor system. Unfortunately, I figured out a way to track their locations and IP addresses so I can prove both the hacking and exactly who is doing it for court purposes later this year. I aim to bring that process by spring and have enough hard evidence to secure prosecutions for harassment and illegal monitoring, as well as a few other prisonable offenses. And she puts a little smiley face here. It's time to wake up to the reality that there is no privacy anywhere anymore for anyone who is not in the elite status groups. We have been illegally stripped of all of our human rights by successive governments and lawless police and military forces personnel for the last 4 decades. Our children are at risk from these monsters. The first in the series of folders to be released in due course. Now, let me just show you here, because I don't post these links anymore on my channel. And actually, people who post links in the comments section get held for review. So let me just show it to you. I'll attempt to read it also. https://acrobat.adobe.com/id /earn URN AAID SC capital U uppercase uppercase E uppercase U B as in boy, 6 B as in boy, those are lowercase, 7 B as in boy, 9 F as in Frank, C as in Charlie, hyphen A8, 6 A as in Apple, hyphen 4B60, hyphen 989 F as in Frank, hyphen E80157 D as in dog, 1D as in dog, C as in Charlie, 8. Subscribe to The Wailing Banshee by Christina Gerrard. It's wailing, let me just show you. Okay, now this is located on Substack. I don't know anything about her. I'm just coming across it for the first time today. And I don't know if she's got a YouTube channel or Facebook or anything. But anyway, I look forward to your questions and comments down below. And once again, the name of the article is, let me just scroll up here. Barrie Trower research papers includes proof of military and government illegal human experiments. And I will attest to the fact that I am being experimented on. I have been since New Jersey. Yep. And I could prove it. I can definitely prove it. In fact, these stupid losers, they forget to do stuff sometimes. They're very, very sloppy. Like leaving a suture in my body. Yeah. They left a suture in my body. I guess they thought that I would not notice it there. I guess they thought that I wouldn't care, that I wouldn't see it. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I know every friggin' part of my body. I know what it's supposed to look like. I know how it's changed since I've moved here. I know exactly what they're doing. And that's why they isolate the victim. That's why they isolate the non-investigative subjects. Why? You're being covertly experimented on and tortured. They don't want anybody else to see what's happening to you. They don't want anyone else to validate what's happening to you. Anybody that's close to you would notice the burns on your body. They would be able to validate the suture that was left in your body, no matter how small it was. They would be able to validate the cuts behind your ears. They would be able to validate the little minutia, I don't know, can I say the word? The little things that they implant in your body in various parts. And as Adam said, Adam was interviewed by David A., and David was saying, well, you know, they don't even have to do that anymore. They can do it with nanotechnology and whatever. And he replied, he says, that's absolutely true. The only reason they actually implant somebody now is for torture. So I'll leave you guys on that note. And once again, I did say that I spoke to somebody recently who had some of his analyzed, the frequencies that they attached to, and every one of them was military. How do they get there? You know, how do they get there, right? So anyway, leave a comment down below. Hope to talk to you soon.